Hi, everybody. The countdown is on. This is the official preview show for Summer Struggle in Sapporo with live English commentary on July the 10th. And we invite you all to join us to guide me through the events that we'll see in Sapporo and discuss live is our old pal, Chris Charlton. Chris, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. So it's July, the hottest month of the year. We're in Sapporo, which is the snowiest part, and the venue is an ice palace.
Yes, it's not actually made of ice, but it's still. I think that the heat of summer and certainly Sapporo is a great place to be any time of year, but especially during the summer. It cancels out the mugginess.
In terms of Fahrenheit, it's usually like 20 degrees cooler in Sapporo than it is in Tokyo. So it's a wonderful break from the heat, but the action hot for New Japan Pro Wrestling with a huge main event. But there's important stuff, I think, to talk about beforehand. And, of course, we'll highlight the big main event. But I want to start with the beginning. You posed an interesting thought when it came to the Young Lions and the Hontai faction. And I brought it up on their most recent night of competition when they battled Ibushi and Shingo Takagi. And I said, maybe, something that Chris had brought up, Hontai needs to do a better job of recruiting young lions. And lo and behold, what do we have here? Seems like an excellent recruiting opportunity with Master Wato and Kota Ibushi teaming up to take on our favorite pair, isn't it?
It's interesting. It's an interesting prospect, isn't it? Ibushi has taken the lead of Master Wato, has helped him come along behind the scenes over the last year or so. And, here's this case of Ibushi, the mentor and the student, and Ibushi perhaps saying to Tsuji and Uemura, look what I'm doing. Look how I'm working with Master Wato here. And perhaps this could be you in Hontai. If you do stay in Japan or if you go away, who knows? Certainly, it seems like those two are even more on the verge of transforming and coming out of this chrysalis than ever before.
It has been a long, long time before Master Wato that a young lion came back from excursion and planted the flag of Hontai. It's an interesting situation, but Hontai needs to start recruiting a little bit better. And our pal Rocky Romero, who will be on this card, he's in the third match. He's openly talked about for years about his interest in Tsuji and Uemura for Chaos. We'll see what happens. I'm interested in the second bout as well, because there was, of course, Never Openweight Six-Men Tag Team Championship, and it was a wonderful bout. What was that date? The 2nd of July? Was that July 2nd?
Yep.
And of course, Yoshihashi, Tomohiro Ishii, Goto retain over Nagata, Tenzan, and Kojima. At the end of the match, Ishii, I thought, did a great job. Real sportsmanlike. Words of praise, handshakes, everything's good. All of a sudden, the lights go out. They're screaming and yelling. The lights come on. The Garrett around the throat. Everything is evil. And Tomohiro Ishii is flat on the mat. We're obviously leading to a one-on-one encounter between those two. But to get there, we'll see Show Team with Tomohiro Ishii against Dick Togo and Evil. Give me your thoughts about Evil and Tomohiro Ishii and the seemingly constant intersecting roads between those two.
Yeah, well, I think back when we were together in Osaka for Dominion, and that was the first time Evil and Bullet Club issued that challenge to Chaos. And I was thinking then, why all of a sudden has Evil become so interested in the Never Six-Man titles? I thought it was because Chaos had elevated them to an extent. But I think with Evil, it's more, he was less interested in the titles apparently than he was with Ishii, and he was using that championship match to get to Ishii a couple of weeks ago in Korakuen Hall. Of course, Evil has never beaten Tomohiro Ishii. Evil's been, let's face it, the first half of this year has not been good results-wise for Evil. So I think if he wants to get back to where he wants to be, then it's going to have to be off the back of a win against Tomohiro Ishii in a singles confrontation. I think Evil realizes that.
0-4 lifetime, correct?
Yep, that's right.
And Evil's 2-7 in his last 9 singles matches. Something's got to change for Evil. And again, if he can reverse his fortune here with Ishii, maybe that will bode well as we head towards the latter half of the year and the upcoming G1 Climax tournament and a whole lot more as well. I mentioned Rocky Romero. He returns to action. I can't wait to see the mega coaches back together again, along with Tanahashi, their prize number one draft pick of all time, against Kenta, Yujiro Takahashi, El Phantasmo. That El Phantasmo winds me up something awful, Chris. Come on.
Yeah, he winds everybody up. But I think El Phantasmo has eyes on what's going to happen with the main event. But let's not forget that El Phantasmo is, of course, recently crowned IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion as well. Rocky Romero wants the singles IWGP Junior Heavyweight Gold before he hits his 40th birthday, but I'm sure he might take this opportunity of, hey, teaming with the coach here, they're going to have an eye on El Phantasmo in this tag team match. And then you've got Tanahashi and Kenta as well, kind of having come back a step back from the limelight in the main event spot. So especially since Tanahashi lost the Never Championship to Jay White back in May. So those are two guys looking to carve their own narrative through the summer.
Yeah, I think if the mega coaches get too focused on defeating El Phantasmo, it'll be a good one for Bullet Club. We'll see how it goes. It'll be great to see Rocky back in action again in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think the first time we'll have seen him in Japan since he competed at Wrestle Kingdom, correct?
Exactly, since he was part of that massive Rambo, which now Toriano is set for his own Rambo for the Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Grand Slam. So I think there's all sort of chaotic overtones, pardon the pun, in terms of people positioning themselves to be one of that big wild field to kick us off for Wrestle Grand Slam.
And I misspoke earlier on. It's not Sho teaming with Ishii, but rather Yo, because Sho is going to team with Kazuchika Okada against the Great Okan and Jeff Cobb. This, to me, has all the earmarkings of like future fireworks. You know, this is the opening. We're not quite at the grand finale with this, but I'm very intrigued with what could be possibly happening in this tag team encounter.
Yeah, don't forget, of course, originally when Wrestle Grand Slam was scheduled for May, it was set to have a main event of Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay. All sorts of, mice in the machinery there in terms of Ospreay getting injured, vacating the title, and that event being postponed into July. So it's interesting now, though, that Okada is opposite a pair of United Empire members in Great Okan and Jeff Cobb. And also, I'm really interested in Sho here. We've talked about how United Empire is such a phenomenal force of mixed martial artists, and you've got Sho coming off the back of, he had a great performance, great outing last week with Glate against Takanori Ito, and I think he's really interested in sort of testing himself in that kind of field of competition, in that kind of style, against two guys, Jeff Cobb, a great amateur wrestler and a jiu-jitsu artist, and Great Okan, who can really do pretty much absolutely anything.
It's got a lot of variables, and that's something that we like. Next, 8-man tag and a preview of tomorrow night's tag team title main event. You're going to see Los Ingobernables de Japón against 4 members of Suzuki-gun. So, of course, it's Tetsuya Naito, Sanada, and Shingo and Bushi. That's going to be exciting on one side of the ring. And then on the opposite side of the ring, you got Minoru Suzuki, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, Dangerous Tekkers. Do you think Dangerous Tekkers takes Naito and Sanada seriously enough for the title match the following night?
I think at this point they have to, right? I'm not sure they were. I'm not sure there was a lot of ha-ha over the Corcoran's right up until July the 2nd. And, then at that point, the champions being laid out, having the title belts laid on top of them and walking out looking distinctly concerned. And I think, that was a shift in the game plan here and the mental head games that Tetsuya Naito and Sanada as well like to play. But of course, you can never discount Taichi in terms of head games in his hometown of Sapporo.
We'll preview that matchup in our next update as we preview the closing night 2 of Summer Struggle in Sapporo. But again, there's a lot of opportunities for momentum and wild swings of momentum in the run-up to this title match. So we'll see how things go on night 1. Night 1's main event. It has every fan just salivating at the prospect of a tremendous junior heavyweight championship match. The champion El Desperado, Taiji Ishimori, the very worthy and able challenger I'm anticipating this to be a great one, Chris. What's your gut tell you about what we're going to see in our main event?
I think we're going to see a great contest between two of these guys. Very much, there's a mutual respect there, but there's also a mutual disrespect for the rules. And I think you've got two of the blackest of black caps in the ring against one another. You remember how their Best of the Super Junior meeting turned out. El Phantasmo going for the belt shot in the end, eats a low blow from Desperado and a punch in the face, and then Pinche Loco. So I think as much as it is two great athletes trying to out wrestle one another, it's also going to be two phenomenal experts at manipulating the rules trying to outsmart one another, and I think that's going to be the key in this championship match.
I said in the run up to this that to me Ishimori is a step above El Desperado, that Desperado hasn't quite gotten back to where he was back in May, because after Dong Taku, everything happens, time off, etc. He just hasn't gotten back 100% yet.
Well, I mean, you think when he was riding that hottest of the hot hands in February, when he went from absolutely nothing to being suddenly a double champion in the span of a week. And I think a lot of wrestlers want to keep that momentum going and want to keep having those championship matches. That's so important. So then to have that pause, to then lose the tag championships, to have the issue with I think that was to El Desperado's disadvantage, whereas Ishimori's been getting hotter and hotter and having, of course, won the tag titles and sort of teased all of these sort of all you can do, I can do better during Korakuen in recent nights. So I'm having to say that, the momentum's on the side of the challenger going into this one.
Since New Japan Pro Wrestling returned to action post-lockdown in 2020, few have been better, whether in the junior heavyweight ranks or the heavyweight ranks, than Taiji Ishimori. I expect a new champion to be crowned in our main event. What do you think, Chris?
I think Desperado has been phenomenal. I want to see him do more with that championship, but I think Ishimori has that. He just has that edge. The momentum is on his side, and I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to say that we might see a new champion in Sapporo.
Well, the best part about all of this is that we will all be together. You'll hear live English commentary. We're so very excited to be back with you again. And of course, no matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to sit down and enjoy live New Japan Pro Wrestling with English commentary for night 1 of Summer Struggle in Sapporo. Chris and I will also be previewing night 2. So stay tuned for that as well. And we'll see you coming up in just a little while from Summer Struggle in Sapporo. It'll be a hot July night for sure. For Chris, I'm Kevin. We'll see you in a bit.